Good day, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are tuning in from. I just realized that when I'm going live, I'm actually live streaming to a few places. I'm going live to my private community of career changers, and I'm also going live on my business page and YouTube. So, for those of you that are tuning in live, say hello. And for those of you catching the replay, put in hashtag replay and tell me and share where you are watching from. I'm excited about tonight because this is the continuation of the Masterpiece series that started on last week, where I started us off talking about relationships and how important it is, how important relationships are living a life of purpose. And so we're going to continue that conversation tonight. For the month of October, we are teaching the essentials for living a purposeful life. And one of those essentials is igniting our spirit for purpose. Y'all, I'm excited about tonight. I am too excited about tonight. We want to particularly help you guys to understand how to live with meaning and purpose, even when life is uncertain. And so, with that said, I'm excited to introduce my guest speaker tonight, Kimberly Horvath. She is a spiritual life coach and the author of Out of the Ashes. Kimberly has been coaching since 2007. Her passion is helping people to discover their spiritual DNA. So I'm going to bring up Kim. Hey, Kim.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. I am so excited
So
about
am I.
having you here.
Thank
And,
you.
and I'm just going to share this out right now. And the reason I'm excited about it is because I've known you, I've met you online, and we've never really met face to face, but there's that
No,
connection there, right?
right, exactly.
And I know you to be an awesome, awesome coach. So I'm just excited about this conversation that we're going to have because I know how passionate you are
Mhm.
about helping people, find or uncover what their spiritual DNA. So
Yes.
tell us more about what it is that you do.
Oh, wow. So, in a nutshell, when you talk about spiritual DNA, the truth is that, we all understand that people have personality types, right? But spiritually, we are all born with certain gifts and certain talents and just certain things about us. And all these things are supposed to help us in the things that we're supposed to do here on earth, as we discover our purpose. And so I help people to put together, I don't believe in them being separate. We're one person. So I help people put together their spiritual gifts, understanding what they are and what it really means, right? Your spiritual gifts
Mhm.
and how that works with your personality as you discover what it is that you're supposed to be currently doing. And really once a person has a handle on who they are, that's when they're really ignited. When you know who you are and you show up and you present yourself in that way in every single thing that you do, you can't miss. You can't miss. So I am excited about tonight's talk because that's what I like to show people how to do.
Yes, that's what makes me excited because of the work that you do, helping people identify what their gifts are. And one of the things that you just said was, when you, and I think that's the key, when you have identified who you are and that ignites your spirit. So I want you to kind of elaborate more on that because I truly believe that hey, Gina is joining us.
Hi,
I
Gina.
truly believe that I always say know thyself.
Yes.
but I haven't been able to really kind of elaborate on what that means and how it is connected to finding or uncovering your purpose so that you can own your brilliance. Because I really think about ignited spirit like owning your brilliance. So, talk more
Absolutely.
about what you just shared about when you know who you are, that ignites your spirit.
Yes. Well, let me say it to you in the reverse. We all know at least one person that we believe is fake, right?
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
all know at least one person that way. When you are not your authentic self, you are wearing a mask. And I'll tell you from my experience when I was working, as I was going through my own process of discovering who I was, right? So, you go to work and we begin to self identify, with our jobs, the mission that they have set before us. You dress the way they want you to dress. I worked for hospitality and we had a certain look about us. And the truth is that because we had a certain look, there were certain things that I couldn't do in my personal life because I couldn't carry it over at work. That's true for a lot of people. But as you begin to grow and kind of begin to understand yourself, your likes, your dislikes, and things like that, it gets harder and harder to fit in someone else's box.
Ooh, come on.
Authenticity and truth is everything. And when the more you can be truthful about who you are and show up authentically as who you are, the more powerful you are as a person, and the more truthfully things do just begin to come together. A lot of us are chasing um, vision, right? We want to have these things. We want to live a certain way, have a certain amount of money, present in a certain way. So we chase things that allow us to get that. But when you chase things, you can get that thing and then lose it. But
Hmm.
when you are authentic, when you get what you get, it's yours always. It's yours always, and you can duplicate that over and over again. And not only that, as you are authentic, it helps you deal with other people. It helps
Yes.
you handle people who have not yet gotten there because you are approaching things from a different perspective. It doesn't matter to you as much what people are thinking about you because you are assured in yourself. Usually, when we have issues about what others think, it's because we're not really assured of who we are.
Come on in here and
But
say
when we
something.
are
Say that again.
sure about who we are, other people's opinion doesn't matter so much. So, I don't, if you don't know who you are, if you can't stand up and walk and own your authenticity and your truth, that's really the area where you need to be working. All of your relationships are touched by how authentic and truthful you are with yourself or not. And so when
Yes.
you want authentic and true people around you, you have to show up the same way.
You have to show up. Oh my gosh, you said so much. Gina said, ain't that the truth? Yes, so much. I
Yeah.
mean, this is why I was excited about having Kim come on and talk about this because when we are ignited, we are able to step into our purpose and go forward in that,
Hmm.
right? We
It's
are
magic.
able to, huh?
It's magic.
It's magic, right? And the
Yeah.
more and how you talked about, I'm not going to even butcher it because it's just you drop so many nuggets, but the more you uncover and walk in, like you said, in authenticity of who you are, say something about how when the role unlearning who we think we are, unlearning the things that have shaped us to become that person that walks in authenticity.
Girl. Oh,
Hmm.
there's so many different ways to approach this.
Hmm.
So I'm going to keep with the example that I gave about work. All right. So, take the examples and apply them to all areas of your life. So I worked for the same company for 18 years in several different locations, a few different cities, different positions, right? And when you've worked in a place that long, you do self-identify, with that place. So when I decided to leave, I honestly only decided to leave because I had grown up there. I started there when I was around 20, 21, and I wanted to do something different. I believed that there was more in the world. I felt that I was called to something. I had no idea what. And so when I left after 18 years, I didn't even have a job. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew that the Spirit of God told me that it was okay to do it. So I just stepped out, right? Every now and then I get bold and I do that. But a friend of mine said to me before I did this, I'm so grateful that she did, because it prepared me for something that I had to face. She says, listen, because she left the same place before me, it was a transition time. And she says, just remember when you leave, you're going to have to learn who you are, because you will realize that there are so many things that you're doing in your life that's only because of what you do.
Mm.
That was heavy.
Wow.
That was heavy.
Yeah.
So again, as I told you, I worked for hotels, and so we had rules such as your earrings could only be a certain size. You could only wear closed toe shoes. If you were wearing, a suit, it had to be a certain type of suit.
You were an
Um,
HR manager, right?
I was a when I left, I was an HR director,
HR
and
director.
you had to have only certain types of colors of nail polish, nails only a certain length. I mean, that's a lot of restriction just by itself. Hair color only certain colors. And so now you get out into this big beautiful world where, I mean, it's color. Right?
Uh-huh. Right.
And you don't really know what to do with yourself, and you're kind of like wanting to, maybe I do want to try something else. Maybe I don't really need to do that anymore. And as you begin to do different things and the world begins to open up, you begin to shift a little bit. And when even if you just make a change like coloring your hair, your attitude is different, right? Like we show up different when we know we look good, right?
Right.
There's a
Right.
difference between when we wake up in the morning and roll out of bed and when we've gotten ourselves together to go to an event. We show up different, we present different.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's a similar way when you go through that kind of process of change. I also went through this spiritually. Now, here's something that I found to be very, very true. Your personal life, I'm sorry, your professional life will reflect quite often where you sit spiritually.
Wait, wait, hold on. Hold on. Say that again and say it slow. Say it slow.
Okay. Your professional life
Uh-huh.
will reflect where you sit spiritually.
Oh, elaborate, please.
The more I grew spiritually, the more opportunities presented itself to me at work.
Oh.
It wasn't that I was going for jobs. They would come to me and say, "Hey, I'm going to I'm going to have this job open up and I want you to take that job. We're going to post it, but it's your job." You know, they would create jobs, like make brand new jobs that didn't exist. As my spirit grew, the opportunities came to me. All
Wait.
right. So when you begin to allow your spirit to grow without a silo, without the walls of confinement that sometimes someone else's perspective brings, that's a whole other thing. And so what happened to me is as I transitioned at work, I also transitioned spiritually. And when I left, I transitioned spiritually more because, we go through things where we learn them, in church. And, certain things will work. And then sometimes things don't work and you don't understand what the heck is going on. Well, I began to understand, sometimes things will work for a while and then they stop. And you're like, what the heck? I learned that usually it means you need to learn something more. It's time for you to grow. You have to expand that word of knowledge that you have. And
Kim.
sometimes in expanding that word of knowledge, it can become challenging because it makes you different. You were going
Mm.
to say something.
I, okay, someone, and I hate to stop you because you were on a roll. Gina said, please say that again.
Okay. So when you are growing spiritually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to give you the example that I like to use a lot. So, as a Christian, when you go to church, especially, a, a denominational church, we'll say, right? You're taught about tithing. And you're taught, when you tithe, you're giving 10%. And, that we all know the scripture that it says, trust me in this, right? And, you give your 10%, and then God is supposed to open up the windows of heaven and, everything's supposed to go well for you. And, things work out. And then sometimes you open your eyes and you see people that are really tithing and things are not working out. And so the first thing I question is, are you really tithing? Because, and I don't mean with the number, I mean letting go with your heart. Because you can give the money, but if you don't give the money with your heart and your mind, you're not really tithing. You have to let that thing go completely. You can't say, well, I gave that money and they need to do X, Y. You can't do that. It's not your money once you give it, right? You trust God. You trust the people to do what they're supposed to do. And if you feel that they're not, you pray to God about it and ask them to teach them different. But you let it go. Now, if you're tithing from that perspective and you're still struggling, something else is going on. And so I had to figure out, I had to come to grips with God. And I said, okay, look, I've been tithing since I was like 12, right? What is going on here? Because I see some things happening that don't ever happen. What is going on? After a long period of time, what happened is I realized something. I was tithing Old Testament and not New. Old
Ooh.
Testament is give him 10%. New Testament, he said, it's all mine. Oh, so you don't give 10%. You come to me and tell me, okay, here it is. What do you want me to do? And trust me that I'm going to make sure that you do everything that you need to do while accomplishing what I want you to do. That's a whole different level of trust in God. And it's a whole different level of teaching that you don't typically get within the walls of the church. When I began to say, okay, you know what, God, I'm just going to do what you tell me to do. I hear you. I know how to hear you. It changed everything. And all of a sudden, the entrepreneurial spirit that was in me, that I used to dabble in, it became a must for my life. I had to do it. And the platform began to shift for me as I began to continue to walk and allow myself to grow spiritually. And here's the other thing that is really rich about an ignited spirit. You have to understand this is that the more you walk in faith, because you can't do this if you're not a person of faith, I don't know what to tell you, right? So you as you walk in faith and you begin to live out what you're understanding, there are certain things that were attacking you back there that can't come with you on this land.
Girl,
Okay.
you are
So
preaching on here.
so there are some things that you do not have to struggle to let go of. We often spend so much time trying to struggle and let things go. You don't have to do that. Just keep walking forward in this spirit. And it doesn't even matter if you fall because you're falling forward. So just keep walking in the spirit and you will watch these things just begin to fall. And not only things, but yes, with your whole heart. You were right, Gina. Just keep walking forward. These things will fall off. Certain people will just suddenly disappear and not be a part of you. New people will come your way. And a lot of times we're hung up because we're afraid about what people will say. But here's the thing, here's the truth is that you have to trust God enough to know that He has every intention that we're not going to be here alone. Some people cannot come with you where you are going. They might have to sit in their place until they catch up to where you are. You might be able to meet them down the road, but trust and believe that if you keep walking in faith, God will have other people that are more aligned and more suited, not only to be with you, but to
Yeah.
carry you the next mile of the road that you have to go.
Oh my gosh. And that really goes really into what I was communicating or trying to communicate last week, but you have just so eloquently said it. I kicked this masterpiece series off with talking about relationships and how
Mm.
because it was for me, it was a reflection of like you and I, as an example, we met online, right?
Right.
And we
Right.
connected.
Yes.
And and over the last couple of years, just talking with you as from one coach to another and become from one friend to another, I've grown so much. And
Mm.
so that reflection really taught me that God will place people in your life
Absolutely.
strategically to help you fulfill the purpose
Absolutely.
that He's
It's his
assigned to you.
responsibility. That's where we get caught up. It's not our responsibility, it's his responsibility. Our only responsibility is to hear and obey. That's it.
Right.
Hear
Right.
and obey. That's all
Exactly.
we really have to do. And If we could just be faithful in that little thing, everything really does change. And it doesn't mean that you don't go through stuff. You still go through, but you go through differently because you know you're going through victorious. You also know that when you're going through is because God is trying to help you to let go of some things and learn some lessons that you need to learn in order to trust Him more and to grow in the spirit and to grow in your gifts as well. You know?
And I think that is important because when down at the bottom the ticker says igniting your spirit for purpose even when life is uncertain.
Yeah.
One thing I know about when you are living intentionally, right,
Mhm.
when your spirit is ignited for purpose and you are and you're fulfilling the responsibility of hearing and obeying, you understand that the things that come, like for example, this pandemic, everything has a purpose.
Everything.
You are able to get through it a little bit easier. And like you, and I love how you said, when things come to, challenge us, or even if you fall, you won't fall backwards, you'll fall
No.
forward.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. You fall
Because
forward.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of comments in here. Thank you so much for joining, you guys. It's always good to have people here. Someone said heart posture is everything. To your point
Mm,
about, when you were talking
I
about
like
tithing,
that.
I had never heard anybody teach tithing that way. And that it's not just the tangible, right, that
That's
you're
right.
giving, but
But your
it's
heart,
heart posture.
your heart. Listen, God said about David that he is a man after his own heart, right? And we
Mhm,
know that he was a total screw up a lot of times,
mhm.
right? But yet God gave him that title, a man after my own heart. And look what he allowed to happen with his family line.
Come on.
Come on, right? Like we need to look at that. He is not asking us to be perfect. He has no expectation for us to always get it right, but he wants us to learn how to trust him. That's it. He has no he does not expect us to be perfect. And the truth is that, he has an accommodation for all things. Whatever it is that you bring to the table, he's going to use it.
Right.
He's going to use it. Nothing is wasted. Now, I always say, when I look back over my life, there were some things that I really just didn't need to do. Right. So as I look at the next, years of my life, I'm going to try not to do some of those things that I repetitively did before. But it doesn't matter. Like God uses it all. He forgives it all. That's really the reason why a lot of people don't want to talk about that. But it's important for people to understand that God forgives it all, because understanding that He forgives it all makes me want to live better for Him. It doesn't make me want to cheat and say, well, I could do anything because God's going to forgive me. There's still consequences to anything we do, but He still forgives it all. And it just makes me want to be better because He's that good,
Yeah.
right?
I want to talk about how it sounds like, just from the conversation we've been having, igniting your spirit is this flow, right?
Yes.
I like how, and I think about that. What make me think about that is how you gave the story or share the story about when you were an HR director for 18 years and how you transitioned from that, and how that have come, ignited your spirit and ignited your entrepreneurial spirit.
It did. Oh my gosh, it really did. I always tell people we are all called. That's what our purpose is, right? But the challenge I think that a lot of people have is that they feel like, I don't know my purpose. I don't know. Listen, whatever your purpose is, it's going to be different 3 years from now. Just understand what it is right now, because God keeps adding to it. I would tell people God
Right.
calls you and then you answer, and then He calls you again and then you answer, and He keeps calling. The calling never stops. All right. It's
Mhm.
precept by precept. the calling never stops. So,
Mhm.
I was called, when I was working in corporate America, I was helping people and coaching, didn't even know I was coaching, right?
Mhm.
I was engaged with people and really wanted to make sure that they were doing things that were heart centered. That's what I'm about, helping people do things that are heart centered. Our purpose is supposed to be the platform for all things of our life. And what happens is that many of us, we feel like because something is a gift, that we shouldn't make money from it. And that's the
Mm.
enemy telling you a lie. The gift is supposed to
Mm.
make room for you, and it's supposed to provide for you. So you have to, whatever it is that you feel passionate about, there's a purpose for that. You came here on earth with that desire. God commissioned you for it. Use it. Use it for his glory. Use it for yourself. Use it. Use it to help other people. As you help, it's just going to happen. The money and all the other things, the abundance will come. Don't turn the abundance away. It's part of the gift of walking forward in God and being on purpose.
I love how you mention how we have, especially people of faith, we have, when we discover a gift or our gift, we have qualms about making money.
Yeah,
And one thing, and I've read, like you, I've read the Bible, but someone pointed this verse out to me that I really now live by. He's given us the ability to create wealth.
that's right.
And, like you, I went through this whole, I knew from a little girl that I've always wanted to own my own business. My why is I wanted to employ people. I want to create a culture that people enjoy coming to, right?
Oh, no.
But instead, I did something totally different.
Right, because you had to make a living.
I had to make a living,
we're
right?
taught we're taught that, right?
Right.
Yes,
Exactly. We're taught that. And so, but you get to a place where um it's a process, right? So
it
you
is
get
a
to a
process.
place where your spirit is ignited and other things ignite. The things that have been lying dormant, right? That
That's right.
entrepreneurial, that author in you, the speaker in you, the artist in you, whatever the case may be, it is ignited. And when it is, then you go through the process of I don't know if I should make money from this. And you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And when I have to explain it, I look at it from this perspective, and I say this to people. Um, what do you think that God would prefer? Would he prefer you spend 20% of your time on the things that you're passionate about and all that other time on something that you do just to make money? Or spend all of your time on the things that you're passionate about while trusting him to make sure that you're taken care of? Which really sounds more like him,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
You look at it from that perspective. We get caught up with what we're taught and what the world presents. There is the world's way and God's way. Remember, God says that He is not a man. We His ways are not our ways. So you don't have to. We live in a society, in a world right now where everything is different, right? So the good thing is that I think our minds are ready to accept something that's different. But you know, we we have, how do I want to say this? We have these innate abilities that will only grow when we use them. And
Yes.
oftentimes we will take on jobs because they do what they are supposed to do for us, but we're not even using those abilities in those jobs. And so those abilities, those gifts that we were born with, don't get exercised. And if you're going to work in the thing that you enjoy, you know, exercise that gift because I mean it happens so quickly. The more you exercise it, the more that comes your way. And when you're fulfilled, first of all, you can do phenomenal job effortlessly. It becomes very, very easy. even when it's a lot of work. And you
Yeah.
don't mind it because you're passionate about it. You don't mind it at all. You know, if you want to know what it is that you should be doing, think about if money and time were not a hindrance, what would it be?
Right.
What would it be? And start there. When you start walking in that direction, now you're headed in the field, in the road that God has for you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're coming up on 30 minutes, and this, I can talk to you for an hour. You know it. I want you to talk about your book, Out of
Okay.
Ashes,
Hmm.
and so that people will know about it, and then share with us where we can, hi Carol, where we can order, support you and order the book, because I can't wait to read it. Like, I really can't wait to read it.
Well, thank you for that. The book is Out of Ashes, and the byline is using life fires to ignite your spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even out yet. Like, I'm waiting to get it myself. I can't wait to get it in my hands. That's how new it is. I just put it out. So by the end of the month, I should have them. If you go to my Facebook, Ignited Spirits is the group, and actually it's ignitedspirits.org will take you right to my Facebook page, my Facebook group, and there's a link there where you can pre-purchase an autograph copy. I wrote this book. This book was a long time coming. Lynn, you know that I am a 9/11 survivor. You know, I was one of the people that was standing in front of the towers when the first tower fell.
Mm,
And that story, that period of my life changed me. And this year, I finally was able to, I felt released to use that story as the backdrop because I had a tremendous spiritual experience that day. And from that time of my life, that occasion, that event, God taught me principles that I apply to every challenging situation to help get me through, right? You know, when it comes to the stuff that we deal with, you know, the way out of your stuff is not usually over or under or around, is usually through. And so
mm.
he taught me some things that helped me to get through and to also help me get through a little bit faster than if I were trying to do it all by myself. So, Out of Ashes tells the actual story of what happened that day, and it teaches the principles that I've been using over the years that I learned from that experience and that I continue to replicate as I move forward in the spirit with him.
I love it. 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 And tell me again where I need to type it in the uh chat here. What is your Facebook group?
It is Ignited Spirits. You could, if you, I do have a site that leads right to it. It's ignitedspirits.org.
Oh, okay. ignitedspirits.org.
.org. Yeah, if you go there, you can join my group. You'll see the information about my book. I'm about to start a challenge. It's a Raise Your Vibration challenge. I'm going to start it on Monday. Help people get focused inward in their spirit. It's going to be like a 14-day event. So come and join me, and we'll have some fun every day, igniting your spirit.
Okay, remind me because I'm going to join you. I wish we had time to talk about what that means, raising your vibration, because that's something I've learned in the last year or so, and the role that that plays in manifesting things
Huge.
that,
It's
right?
huge.
It's huge. Like,
It's
I
huge.
wish, a lot of my friends can watch this broadcast and really learn from it, because personally I've benefited from what it means to raise your vibration, raise your frequency,
Yes.
to manifest things that you want, right?
Yes,
That you
absolutely.
dream of. Kim,
Absolutely.
it's been an absolute blessing.
I have enjoyed this.
Words are not enough to express to you. Thank you so much for those of you that have joined. Carol say it's a powerful thing. I mean, the chat has been lit up.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. Um, thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. We will continue our talk on next week. We'll continue the masterpiece series. And I want to say the masterpiece series, the word masterpiece comes from Ephesians 2:10, where the Bible tells us that we are
Mm,
a masterpiece. And so I
mhm.
want to encourage you. I want to support you in you uncovering the masterpiece within you. So until next time, join us next week. I have another phenomenal speaker on next week. So join us. Until next time, you guys own your brilliance. Let me let me end it.